The boarding gate was almost empty now. The final call echoed across the terminal. One empty seat, minus 14C. Her ticket was in her hand, her boarding pass already scanned, but she stood still. And when the plane finally took off without her, no one knew that every soul on board owed her their life. The Airbus A320 glided into the morning sky, carrying 162 passengers and 6 crew members. The air inside was calm, a soft hum of engines filling the cabin. But somewhere mid-flight, the absence of one passenger, the woman meant to sit in 14C, began to matter more than anyone could have guessed. She had appeared at the gate hours earlier, quiet, alone, her small leather bag pressed tightly to her side. Cameras caught her stepping forward when her group was called, but then she stopped, turned away, sat down in silence. The gate agent's voice softened, urging her forward, but she shook her head. Security logs showed no commotion, no fight, no delay that could explain it. She simply refused to take that seat. 32,000 feet, the crew noticed something strange. A faint metallic smell drifted from the rear galley. One of the attendants brushed it off as leftover cleaning supplies. The captain noted a slight deviation in cabin pressure readings, just enough to double-check, but not enough to alarm passengers. Meanwhile, turbulence rolled in early, rocking the fuselage harder than forecasted. The seatbelt sign glowed. Flight attendants paused drink service, and deep in the cargo hold, where no passenger could see, a slow change was unfolding in the aircraft's structure. Hours after takeoff, back at the airport, the woman from 14C sat in a corner chair, staring at a muted TV. Her eyes followed the tiny blinking icon of the flight's path across the screen. Airport security. Curious asked for her ID. Her name wasn't familiar to them, but to a handful of retired Air Force officers, it was. She had once been a crash investigator, specializing in structural failures, and the moment she stepped onto the jet bridge earlier that morning, she had seen something no one else noticed. A hairline crack running along a fuselage seam near the boarding door. She didn't shout. She didn't cause panic. She simply chose not to step inside. Midway through the flight, the anomaly deepened. The pressure sensors tripped a silent alert to the cockpit. The captain initiated a controlled descent to a lower altitude, masking it as turbulence avoidance in the cabin. Most passengers barely noticed the change, sipping coffee or watching seatback screens. But behind the cockpit door, the crew began rerouting systems, sealing vents, and scanning for the cause. No obvious failure appeared, just that persistent scent of metal and ozone. Unseen from the cabin, the outer skin of the plane was weakening. Slowly, INVISIBLY, by the time the airline traced the security logs and matched the woman's credentials, the flight was halfway over the ocean. An urgent message went to the cockpit. Possible structural compromise. Prepare for diversion. The crew turned toward the nearest airfield. Oxygen masks never dropped. Passengers never screamed. It was a quiet emergency, the kind the public rarely hears about. The aircraft landed safely, emergency vehicles flanking it as it rolled to a stop. Only during post-flight inspection did engineers see it, a fracture widening along the same seam the woman had noticed. It could have ruptured mid-air. The passengers never met the woman who saved them. She had already left the airport hours before the plane returned, disappearing into the city without claiming credit. Her absence in 14C was never explained in official reports. The airline called it preventative measures. The captain called it luck. But for the 168 people who walked away from that flight, it was something else entirely. Because sometimes the person who saves you isn't the one sitting beside you,